Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. You join us now at the Charlotte International Motor Speedway Roval for this rather exciting debut of the Adrenaline Impact Invitational Race. We are now going to be going through our practice sessions here with the little MX5 Cup cars here. These one-make cars with about 150 or 60 horsepower. All cars are the same, although we'll be running open setup so the guys can test and tune, and make sure that cars are handling as good as possible. You're now tracking nicely through the turns there. We will join you very, very shortly for the qualifying sessions, but in the meantime, we are going to, the commentary team will be taking a slight break, but we will be joining you right before qualifying. So do stay tuned. We'll be back in just a second. Alright then, good evening ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the stream. We're currently riding aboard Muhammad Zafri Zainuddin, aka Ajib, as he tears around the... Oh, it's a big roll there. This generally tends to happen during practice sessions. They'll be pushing the cars as hard as they can. But in the meantime, we'll be with Muhammad Muhaimin as we welcome you to the Charlotte Motor Speedway's famous Roval course, a combination road and oval course that's been instituted for the second NASCAR race and the first chase for the Cup race, or playoff race as it's known nowadays in the NASCAR Cup schedule. But a nice warm welcome to the AI Invitational Challenge, the Adrenaline Impact Invitational Challenge race for MX5 Cup cars here. We have some of the best and brightest from the sim racing community, and that we're quite happy to have here today. As you can see, Muhaimin there tearing across the oval track. Very unique place here, as you can see. Combination of road and oval course. Very few Rovals still see major competitions. Of course, we have the famous Daytona Roval course, the Daytona 24 hours race course, and we have this one here, which was a bit of an innovation to try and bring more road course races to the NASCAR calendar. It's also been a popular club racing venue in the States, and also a very popular venue on iRacing with its unique challenges. So you see Muhammad Muhaimin there. This is the number 20 student driver car. We've got 3 student drivers in the field. We've got 2 cars bearing the Metro Driving Academy colors as well. We switch now, and we see on the left hand side of the screen there we have Azril Nazli in the F-tuned racing car. So we'll see a couple of real life drivers and a couple of sim races as well. It looks to be a very fun and interesting and exciting course. The unique part about this course is that for a Roval, for a combination road and oval course, there is actually quite a bit of changes in elevation. As we ride on board there on the F-tuned racing team machine there, Azril Nazli, he'll be looking to try and get a good result today. He's so far put up a 128.323 lap. He's 3rd quickest currently. Now we go through the bus stop chicane there. Now if you get your line just right through there, and that's what a lot of the teams will be trying right now, they'll try and straight line the chicane as much as possible. And if you can do that, there is a possibility that if you're running alone, you can actually get through there absolutely flat out. And bounce through the curbs there, real touring car stuff, as we avoid the Castrol machine there. There'll be some familiar names out there as well. We'll have, like we saw Ajab out there on the track, Halabi there, 0.1 seconds away in terms of pace. So we'll have quite an exciting qualifying session up ahead. It's about 6 minutes and 30 seconds away, or 5 minutes and 30 seconds away, I should say. As all these drivers are trying to get their setups just right. They're trying to maximize their speed through the turns there. You'll see the odd cones flying or the car spinning, and that's quite normal indeed. Ilham Halabi there seems to have a bit of a problem. He's parked on the high side of NASCAR 3. And for those of you who are wondering about these banked corners, the entry to the corner is counted as one. The entry to the curve, I should say, is counted as one corner, and the exit is counted as another. So in oval racing, you have the entry, which is known as turn 1, the exit, turn 2, then the backstretch, then turn 3 and turn 4. So it's a slightly different way of counting the turns when you're dealing with banked corners. This is a rather peculiar American tradition. As he comes out of NASCAR 2, and into the bus stop there. He's going to try and go as fast as he can. He don't really want to upset the car on those curbs too much. We are riding now with number 23, Zainul Hazim, sorry. Currently in 5th position in this practice session. Now a lot of the guys won't be showing quite their true pace just yet. We have 4 minutes. Ooh, gets it just a little bit wrong on the tri-oval chicane, or the quad-oval chicane I should say. Charlotte, North Carolina is home of NASCAR. Most of the big racing teams are based here. You've got Stewart Haas Racing, Chip Ganassi, and all the big guns have bases basically in the Carolinas, North Carolina and South Carolina. Meanwhile, we're on board with number 32, Muhammad Afif Suhaimi. While we're on board, we'll see the little speedometer there on the right-hand side of the screen, climbing up to 130 kilometers an hour before braking for turn 1. Very, very easy to get the apex wrong there. And now into the infield section, very fast. Lots of changes of directions, lots of changes in elevations, going through turn 3, turn 4 here. Now as we go into that middle straight, if you will, he drives the car completely off the road and then turns it in. Just about catches that slight bit of oversteer there. Climbing up over the brow, a completely hidden left-hand corner there. As you can see the map on the right-hand upper side of the screen. He has to just miss that barrier as he goes into NASCAR 1. Now he's got his foot flat to the floor there. He'll want to take as tight a line as possible, try and reduce the distance he has to drive through the banking. These cars don't really have enough horsepower to try and push the cars up the hill, as they say. So now onto the backstretch, he's got to try and line up this, and there's a big roll in front. There's a big roll in front there. That's one of the Metro cars. He just about gets through there. A fantastic save as he enters NASCAR 3. He's got his foot flat to the floor as he rounds out into NASCAR 4. One final few set of corners there. He's got to almost just about miss the barriers as he turns into the final chicane. You'll see a lot of two-wheel action going through there, and that was a lap of the Charlotte Motor Speedway's Roval course. So as you can see, absolutely undulating here. The real trick is in these cars is to try and keep the momentum up as much as possible. You can see Afif really pushing the car, the steering wheel all over the place as he tries to keep the speed up. They really don't want to get off the throttle for any longer than they have to through this section. And what makes it difficult, like I say, is that unlike a lot of infield courses at oval tracks, there's a lot of elevation here at Charlotte through that double crest there, and you can see as the car was stopped there, Afif had to just correct a little bit. Ooh, a big knock there from Sharil Norafuddin, who got it a little bit wrong. That's the beauty in iRacing. They can afford to use this practice session to push as hard as they can. They'll be trying simulation qualifying laps now. Mun Fai Leong there gets it a little bit wrong, but he'll try and just carry on a little bit there. No, he's going to pull off and perhaps get ready to go back into the pits. We only have about half a minute left for all these drivers to complete their lap and get ready for qualifying. So do stay tuned, as it is going to be quite the exciting challenge for the guys here during the qualifying sessions. As you can see there, the great expanse of this speedway. The NASCAR guys get up to 190 miles an hour in terms of average speed. That's all the way around the lap, so that goes to show how fast this place is for the oval races. But the road course is definitely not as quick. It's still a very, very entertaining lap as we head off into qualifying. Now there's only a 15-minute window for the qualifying sessions as we wait for the cars to head out. It's absolutely critical to get these laps just perfect and just right. So we'll wait for some of the cars to come out there. We see one of the cars going out. That's Malvinder Singh, or Melvin, sorry, for short, coming out of the pits there. All the cars are coming out now. It's an open qualifying session. So the trick is, as you can see on the map on the right hand side there, they're going to want to try and find some clear air to drive in. They'll have maybe 3 or 4 laps at most. If they decide to abort, they may only have 2 or 3 laps at most to try and get a good time through here. So as you can see, the infield section there full of cars. Number 92, as we're watching Kelvinder there start on their out laps. They're all currently still on their out laps there. Kelvinder running the AlphaTauri livery, the car number 7. That'll be a car to watch from that really striking livery there. Really suits that MX5. So we'll see car number 92 is coming up to start the lap. Meanwhile, we're with Mohammed Nazmi there in the car number 22. He is just on the way back out, and he's first sector 30.216. that sets a little bit of a benchmark for the rest of the guys. Sector 2 14.364, a fairly short lap, even in international standards, but they're very, very typical for a Roval course. The great thing for the spectators, they're absolutely flat out, and he's had a big accident. Mohammed Nazmi cartwheels the car off. He just got the curbs wrong at the bus stop there, and he ran into the barriers, and that's him out of that lap. Meanwhile, we go back on board with Charlotte Roval, the car number 19, the Red Bull themed livery. He'll be trying his hardest to try and get through there. We go on board with him. Big understeer moment there. That was a massive accident there from Afif. It was very unfortunate. He'll have to get a tow back. There's a lot of from Cheryl's car as we go bombing around NASCAR turns 2 there, back onto the main straight, the backstretch, sorry. He's just got to watch out for this car coming into the inside there. He might have to abort that lap, but luckily the car gets out of the way. A little bit of time lost there, but he'll be happy to make sure he gets a good lap time. Meanwhile, we have a new fastest lap, 1:30.779. Meanwhile, car number 19, Sharul Jafar, big understeer moment going through there. He'll want to try and get a better lap time than that. That's a 1:38, 8 seconds down. He'll want to work his, raise his pace up a little bit for this next lap. He'll taking it a little bit easy there. Meanwhile, we go on board with Syaiful Ariffin. As we see there, he is trying to improve his lap times. Goes over the brow there, 120 kilometers an hour through that depression. And he tries to scrub as little speed as he can. He does quite a good job there. He's still at around 119 to 120 kilometers an hour as he goes on to NASCAR 1. He's got his foot flat to the floor here. Comes out of NASCAR 2 and onto that backstretch with the famous marks in the road. Very, very committed through there, as we can see someone else there losing the car in front of him, but he keeps his nerves and keeps going around there again, flat out to NASCAR turns 3 and 4. Now dives down into the chicane, to the quad oval chicane, over the curbs there, and across the line. He's gone across the line with a time of 1 minute and 34, I believe. So yeah, it's all action out there now. It's a very, very short track, simply because there's quite a few cars out there right now. They're all jockeying for position. We go on board with Paducah, Shrib. Paducah there just grazes the barriers there. The barrier is very, very unforgiving in the infield section. As we head off up into NASCAR 3 and NASCAR 4. We'll have that throttle pinned right to the floor. We've got our first comment there. Ahmad Fuad saying, "I didn't dare to enter this race." Wow, that's okay. It's there is a certain feeling with a lot of newcomers when it comes to sim racing that it's too difficult or too risky to start racing, but it really isn't too difficult to get through there. Syaiful Ariffin there, number 27, in the Metro Driving Academy colours. A little cheeky little colour scheme there. As we bomb down through the depression there and climb up over there, there's some traffic in the way, so he's gonna have to either pick his way through or maybe back off and try again the next lap. It's only a 15-minute qualifying session, so they really can't afford to get into too much traffic. Meanwhile, that's car 4, which has gone off the road to try and give him some space up there on the banking. It's a very good move there. And now watch as Ariffin goes in for the chicane, the bus stop chicane, absolutely flat out. Syaiful just about gets the straight lining right as he goes around the outside of another traffic car as he dives down into the final chicane. Big cut through the left, big cut through the right. You've got to use as much of the curb on the inside there as you dare, but they're big sausage curbs, so you can easily toss the car over. Big sideways moment there. Syaiful definitely likes to have the car rotate, and a little bit of oversteer on the turn-in, which helps rotate the car. He likes a very, very positive front end. Again, using all of the track. They are allowed to do that, incidentally, in this race, so now we have Lee Granty. Incidentally, if you guys have any comments and suggestions of anything that I myself can do better or Adrenaline Impact can do better, please do leave them in the comment section below. We'd love to hear from you guys, so do keep them coming in. And if you like the video, please like our page. You can follow us, and you can share the video amongst your friends. That would mean quite a lot to us. We'd really appreciate that. Big sideways moment from Lee. He's crashed it, he's binned it, and he's hit the safer barrier on the entry into NASCAR 3 there. Meanwhile, Javier Alvarez in the little elf car there, he's just gone and pitted. I think he's good for the meanwhile. Tarmizi Yusuf, number 76, he is in 9th position. As we're going through the section there with Tarmizi Muhammad Yusuf going through the final few corners there. and back into the race. We've got a big spin there from Afif. He's been pushing very, very fast indeed. He's up there in 5th position. I think he had the pole position for a little bit. We go on board with the currently 3rd place man, Kelvinder Singh. He's, I believe, on the outlap, car number 285. As you can see there in the graphics in the leaderboard on the left-hand side there, so he'll want to get around as quickly as possible. There's only 4 minutes left in the session, so perhaps only chance for 1 or 2 more laps at the most, so they really have to make the following laps count. Most of the cars are out on the field and pushing very, very hard indeed. We are riding again on board with Kelvinder Singh. He's taking a very wide approach into the bus stop. Just about makes that work. Sometimes you need to get a nice wide entry into there to try and make the flat out approach possible. But sometimes a much narrower entry can help. Now he goes into the final 2 corners, the big chicane. He goes over the left-hand curb, over the right-hand curb and over the left-hand curb, and across the line with a 1:57 outlap. So now we ride with him on his flying lap. Now he'll be pushing as hard as he can through this part. He has to get a time in, using all the road he can. He likes to have a very planted car. Not a lot of drama there from Kelvinder Singh in the 285 car. Goes quite quickly through there, turning in through the S's there, big dip and over the crest. And now he's got to try and go as flat out as possible onto NASCAR 1. And now he's going to hug that inside line, the inside groove as they call it in NASCAR, pushing the car as hard as he can. It's really a case of trying to maintain momentum, especially through here. He's going to go as fast as he can, perhaps almost flat out, and he goes into NASCAR 3. He's got to be very, very precise with the steering through here, because if there's any sort of small slides from the rear end or the front end, you tend to lose speed. And now into the final complex in the tri-oval or the quad-oval area here at Charlotte, and he is now currently there in 2nd position with a time of 1:29.287, with I believe an Ariffin in 1st position. Meanwhile, we're with Jezrin Jelly, the car number 81 there. He is coming up towards the line. The final few corners there still to go. Now he's got to get these curbs just right. You've got to sort of go over them. Very, very spectacular stuff. There's been a spin on the front stretch, and he has gone through and improved. He's gone from 9th position to 7th with a 1:30.697. And now we're with Mohammad Jasri there in the car number 17, the 074 car. He's now also on outlap. He's currently in 17th position. He really wants to improve that, so he'll be pushing as hard as he can. And out onto the banking. Now, the case here is that he's going to have to keep the momentum up as much as he can. You really want to shave a couple of seconds there. The fastest time so far in this session, 1:28.221. We'll see where Mohammad Jasri bin Mohammad Junus is going to stack. See where he's going to fare up. Bit of a sideways moment there into the braking zone, but he gathers it up nicely. He avoids the first curb, avoids the second curb, goes up across the line. That's the final lap for Junos, and he has set a slower time with a 1:34.950. Meanwhile, we spy here with our little eye. Zafri Rusli has joined us in our broadcast. We like to thank everyone who's on the broadcast, and do let us know in the comments what you're thinking. We are now at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. We're getting ready for the final race here at the Charlotte Roval. It's 26 degrees Celsius there, 52% humidity, partly cloudy with a 3-kilometer gust of wind, so perfect racing there. We're using the Global Mazda MX5 Cup cars here. The track length of 3.58 kilometers there. Fairly high up in altitude, Charlotte Motor Speedway, incidentally just outside the city of Concord in North Carolina. A unique little oval and road course set up there, as we see some of the cars just having a mess around. The standard iRacing pile up into the first turn as usual. Kelvinder Singh there, quite happy with his second position there, 128.743. We'll have a quick look at the grid as soon as it pops up for you guys. Now there'll be a few minutes before the grid comes up, as all the cars will go back into the pits, and it'll be another 3 minutes before the cars head back out again. As you can see, Kelvinder's car sets off away. And now we see Syaiful Ariffin is in first position with Kelvinder Singh in second. We are about to start off the race. So we've got two rather well-known sim racers there. Nazli is in third position, followed by Lo, Suhaimi, Hazim, and Yusuf. That's your top 8 positions there. Jali is in 10th position. Sorry, Zainuddin is in 9th. There we go. There's the grid. We have Syaiful Ariffin in pole position with Kelvinder Singh second, Azril Nazli third, Wicket Low in 4th position, Lee Granty in 5th, Muhammad Suhaimi in 6th position, Zainul Hazim in 7th, with Muhammad Yusuf in 8th position, Muhammad Zafri Zainuddin aka Ajib there, car number 555 in 9th position, Jaisrin Jali in 10th, followed by Kelvin Lee and Shahmi Azri. So that's your top 12 in the grid. As the cars line up for a rather unusual start. The MX5 Cup cars tend to do a standing start, so we'll attempt one here on the oval. Something that you wouldn't normally see in regular racing, but we'll see how it goes. Generally, in real life, for safety reasons, we don't do this, but in iRacing, luckily they'll let us pull it off, so we'll have a look and see this rather spectacular start. Wicket Low there in 4th position, getting ready. Now we have a jump start there from Nazli. That won't be too good for him, and they're off. They're off and away, and Syaiful Ariffin gets a massive lead, an absolute whole shot start there as the cars pile into turn 1. Azril Nazli there in 2nd position. He's recovered a little bit. We don't know if he's going to get penalized for that, but or whether it's just a slight aberration on our screens that he's popped forward a little bit. That does tend to happen, but Azril Nazli has got an entire crowd of cars headed towards him. Wicket Low is going into the inside. He's coming. They're running side by side through the infield there. Azril Nazli has gone a little bit wide. Can Wicket Low shut the door there? He has. He's gone wide out the outside there and cuts back in. So Wicket Low is now in 2nd position, but he's 3.2 behind. And there's a big crash. Azril has been knocked around by Lee Granty. We're not too sure how that happens, and there's a massive crowd of Mazdas there going through the Charlotte banked oval section there. Meanwhile, Ari is 3 seconds ahead of Lowe. Lee Granty there trying to recover from that incident on lap 1. He's just been passed again by Junos. As you can see there in the battle box there, he lost quite a lot of positions there. Meanwhile, we go on board with Wicket Lowe, who's in 2nd position. He had an absolutely barnstorming start, got past Kelvinder Singh there. Fantastic battle halfway through the lap. It's been all action right now. Meanwhile, in 5th position, Mohammad Zafri Zainuddin there. He was right up there with the lead group. But currently we have Syaiful Ariffin in 1st, with Wicket Lowe 2nd, and Kelvinder Singh in 3rd position, pulling away from the rest of the pack. Syaiful Ariffin even more so. Meanwhile, in this group of cars from 4th, 5th and 6th there, Shami Azri is back up and running behind the student driver car, as he goes side by side. So that's Zainuddin there in front, Ajib as he's known to his friends and fans around there. So there's a big battle brewing there for 4th, 5th and 6th. Then a very, very close group indeed. Only half a second to a second separates them right now. Zainuddin very, very close to Jali there. Now, will he look for a gap coming out of here? Now, he's going to try and latch onto the slipstream. There's not much slipstream on these little MX5 cars. There's no spoiler, so they say. Now, coming into the final chicane, will he go for the gap into the quad oval section? Not close enough, but he'll be close enough in case there's any mistakes coming out of the quad oval, and there is. Zainuddin gets the better drive out of the final corner and into the first corner, closes the door on the apex, and he's got 4th position. Mohammad Zafri Zainuddin, aka Ajib, has got 4th position there, and he's definitely pushing the car quite quickly indeed. Meanwhile, we're on board with Kelvinder Singh in 8th position. He is trying to pull away from the 9th place car there. There'll be Paduka there in the back. Meanwhile, Junos is in front of him as well, so another close group of people. Kelvinder definitely catching the car in front quite a bit there. He was a second coming into the infield section, and he's gained about 4/10 coming out of it. You get a fantastic drive going onto the banking there, so there might be another chance for an overtaking maneuver. Will he think about it in the bus stop? Will he try to slipstream pass? They are right nose to tail right now, Junos and Singh. You can see how close they were there, but he backs off a little bit because there's no real space to get around there. But he's hoping, as he sees there, Junos has spun, giving Kelvinder the position there. Is absolutely fantastic. Battles going up and down the leaderboard there. We've got a battle for 3rd position. We've got a battle for 8th and 9th. We've got a battle for 12th, 13th, and 14th as well. Meanwhile, in 8th position, Paduka Shoaib is right behind Kelvinder there. Fortunately, he just got it a little bit wrong on that final chicane, but doubtless he'll try and catch up again. Paduka, by the way, driving the F-tuned racing team car. There's 2 in the race right now, so very nice showing from them, with Paduka there in 8th position. But meanwhile, Kelvinder Singh is in 3rd. There's wreckage. There is steaming piles of wreckage all over the track here. Kelvinder Singh, car number 285, now in 2nd position there. Now he's got to get his head down and start to push very, very hard indeed to try and catch up with Syaiful Ariffin. It's only been 5 3/4 minutes into the race, and it's been all action up and down the field. Meanwhile, Jazreen Jali is closing up to Zainuddin in front. Zainuddin there, a lot of places gained, as you can see. Paducah as well, 13 places gained in the 5 laps we've run so far. Jazreen likes to straighten up that section a little bit, takes both curbs. Zainuddin avoids one of them. As he comes into this first corner, you can run very, very wide there and take a lot of speeds, but the walls around this section are absolutely unforgiving. It's almost like having a street course in the middle of an oval. Meanwhile, we ride on board with Azril Nazli, who is aiming for a pass, aiming to pass Yusuf, who's in front of him. They're only half a second away. Azril Nazli, incidentally, was caught up in a lot of that problems in the start line there, so he'll really want to try and gain as much positions as possible. The fight back starts now for him, so he'll be trying to latch onto the tail of Yunus and get past him as soon as he can. There's been a lot of cars that have dropped down the field. Wicked Low there, I think, has gone into the pit lane. There's some damage to his vehicle as well. Nazli and Yusuf there. It looks like Nazli got much better drive through the corners there. The Sujatra Racing colours of Yusuf there. He's just gone a little bit wide. Can he gain that back? Yes, he's managed to carry the momentum. This is very close stuff. Azril Nazli and Yusuf there is getting closer and closer. The gap between these two cars, very, very close indeed. Only 4/10 of a second. It's just a little bit more than a blink of an eye. So this really is a case of blink and you'll miss it. Yeah, Yusuf likes to take a nice wide line through that turn, and Nazli is a little bit more tighter and more compact as they try and push their way as hard as they can up onto the banking. Will there be enough speed from Nazli? I think there is, and he's gained yet another position. The next car up ahead is in 16th, 11 seconds ahead, so he's really got to push now. Meanwhile, Zafri Zainuddin, aka Ajib, in the driver training car from Metro Driver Academy, running those rather cheeky colours in this race. He's now in 4th position, but he's only 3/10 of a second behind the car in front, Jazrin Jali. Now he's getting ever closer up to the front of up to the rear end of Jali's car there as you go through the bus stop. I don't think Jali took it flat, but it looks like Zainuddin did. He goes off around the outside. They are door to door, side to side on the oval. Now, who is going to yield first into the braking zone? We're going to watch as Zainuddin gets the overtake done. He is now in a podium position. Car number 555, Mohammed Zafri Zainuddin, has managed to get himself up into 3rd position, but Jali is fighting back there. He has a quick look onto the inside there. Absolutely fantastic stuff through that section. Now Zainuddin will try and pull as big of a gap as he can to the car behind. Meanwhile, Syaiful Ariffin has an 8.5 second gap to the 2nd place car of Kelvinder Singh. So the massive gap between 1st and 2nd, and a significant gap between 2nd and 3rd position as well. So the front of the field is pulling away, but meanwhile there's some fantastic battles going through there. This is the battle for 6th, 7th and 8th. We're tracking the car of Muhammad Afif Suhaimi there, car number 32, who's right at the back of this battle. As you can see, Paducah, Kelvinder and Hazim ahead. So this is a nice tight pack of cars. All of the cars are going to benefit from Hazim's toe down the straight, so everyone is going to bunch up there. Hazim in the Castrol liveried Mazda, fantastic colours. Malvinderjit Singh there, he will want to try and close up as much as he can, known to his friends as Melvin. The fantastic colours of MSH there as he goes into the chicane. Kelvinder Singh trying to follow as tightly as he can to the back of Hazim. Meanwhile, Shuib is still 0.7 of a second behind, so there's still a threat both ahead of Melvin and behind him as well. So as we can see there, Hazim pushing the car as hard as he can. He doesn't want to push the car too hard. He doesn't want to ruin the tyres too early in the race. We are 11 minutes through in this 30-minute sprint race. Absolutely fantastic stuff. We've had fights all over the leaderboard, but it's starting to settle down into a nice running order. Meanwhile, up ahead, the gap between first and second is dropping ever so slightly. Kelvinder Singh there in 6th position. He's trying his hardest, but right now he's coming under threat from the car behind, as well as trying to threaten the car ahead. Will he get past there into the bus stop? It looks like he will. It looks like Hazim literally just let them go past. I'm not too sure if he's got a problem with the car, but right now Kelvinder Singh is through. Meanwhile, he's being followed very closely behind by Paduka in the F-tuned racing car, F-tuned racing team car, sorry. As we can see, he's catching up to the car in front. They're having a bit of a chess match, if you will. Oh, but Paduka spun. He spun and he had a massive accident. He's rolled the car. He's rolled the car. They're going to have to get the car out of there. It'll be a localized flag through there. Meanwhile, we're going through with Mohammad Zafri Zainuddin. That was an absolutely spectacular crash. Paduka was just pushing a little bit too hard. Meanwhile, Mohammad Zafri Zainuddin Ajib is getting closer and closer to Jali. This battle has been happening for pretty much the entirety of the first half of the race. Zafri getting closer to him and further away. As you can see there, right underneath the bumper, that MRT car of Jasrin Jali. Jasrin elected to take a little bit of braking through there just to try and check the speed up. So we'll see if Ajib's got a little bit more bravery. It looks like he's got the bravery. He looks like he's got the toe. He's going to go down around the outside of NASCAR 4, which will be the inside of the chicane. Will he get through? He's managed to take the lead. Absolutely fantastic stuff there. Zainuddin goes up into 3rd position. So the top 3 as it stands right now is Syaiful Ariffin, who's 8.3 seconds ahead of Kelvinder Singh, with Zainuddin in 3rd position. Meanwhile, we look up at the battle between 13th and 14th position. Hanuzul Ilizam, who's given up that spot to Azrael Nazli, who's still competing in his fight back. He was all the way down in 20th position at one point. As he goes for another overtake there, he's gone up from 20th position. He started quite far up in the grid, but he lost a lot of places due to a spin. He dropped down as far as 20th, and now he's climbing back up the leaderboard. We're seeing quite the fight back from Azrael Nazli. He's come up to 11th position now, going past the pits. He's past Elizam there into the pits. His next target now will be Lee Granty. Now, meanwhile, we go on board with Junos, Muhammad Jazri bin Muhammad Junos. That's the car we're tracking there in the other Metro Driving Academy car. Absolutely, really very fast through this section compared to the cars behind him. But he'll have quite a lot of work to try and catch the car in front. We said that he's given way to his teammate there, who's going to go past. Absolutely fantastic stuff going up and down the leaderboard. Meanwhile, we're on board with car number 4, Jasrin Jali. He's not yet given up the fight to try and get back into 3rd position. They are in fact now coming up to some lapped traffic, so we're now riding on board car number 4, car number 81, Jazreen Jelly, who's in 4th position, and he still wants to get back in front of Ajeb, aka Zainuddin, in the front there. Meanwhile, we're on board, we're tracking car number 6, Muhammad Afif Suhaimi, who is sitting very comfortably there in 6th position. Absolutely flat out through the bus stop there. Now we go on board with the other F-Tune car of Paducah. Had a very strong start to the race, but unfortunately had that big incident. Had to cut across the chicane there. The car's probably not driving quite to his liking, but he'll have quite the job to try and get back into a top 10 position. He's been lapped, in fact, I believe. So he's no longer on the lead lap. Only the top 10 seems to be on the lead lap at the moment. But we've already had 4 retirements in the race. The 22nd to 25th cars there have all retired. Meanwhile, Jazreen Jelly is still trying to push hard and trying to get back 4th position, but it looks like he's just not able to get onto the same pace as Zainuddin, who's doing very well indeed, but unfortunately the top 3 have just spread themselves out quite a lot there. Syaiful Ariffin in 1st position, Kelvinder Singh in 2nd, and Zainuddin in 3rd position there. Syaiful Ariffin in the lead Metro car, absolutely pushing the car quite fast indeed through the middle sector. We'll just have a look at his driving style there. Very nice, very smooth. He lets the tail of the car hang out just a little bit. Now we are right on board. Ariffin climbing through the track there, through the crests. You're coming back on to the Charlotte banking. We'll listen in to the car bomb around the track there. That's your leader, 11 seconds the gap. An absolutely barnstorming race so far. Meanwhile, we're with Ilham Halabi in the blue and yellow flamed decal car. Absolutely fantastic looking livery on that Mazda. Makes it look like a real hot rod. But he is getting closer and closer to the car in front there. Suhaimi, who's up ahead there, he's going to come under fire from Halabi very, very shortly. There's only 0.6 of a second between the 2 cars, and Halabi has been catching him for quite a few laps now. As you can see there in the battle box on the bottom right hand side of the screen, you'll get to see the relative positions, relative on track positions there, along with the splits. And now coming into the high-speed section there, and there's a big crash. There's a big crash there. We're not too sure who that was. It looked like Kelvinder Singh has had a massive accident coming out of the bus stop and into NASCAR 3. Meanwhile, Halabi is going to try and see if he can get closer through this section. We've seen some cars get better drives out of the chicane here. They're absolutely flat out, the both of them, but it looks like Suhaimi got a little bit sideways there. So Halabi is going to get even closer. The gap now down to 0.5 of a second. So just half a second between these 2 cars as they go through the infield section there. You can see how hard Suhaimi is pushing to try and run away from Halabi, but it's not working. There's a little bit of a lag spike there. And now we're on board with Wicket Low, who had a very high starting position, but unfortunately he dropped behind quite a few cars, but he's also fighting back. He's got Jafar in front of him in his sights. The gaps have been coming down. He wants to try and get ahead of these two cars and run in clean air to try and catch up to the front. But as you can see, there's a massive gap between the first three drivers. Now we're with Ilham Halabi, who's still trying desperately. Suhaimi has managed to get Jali. Jali had to go into the pits there, so Halabi had to take avoiding action there. But that's very unfortunate. It looks like he's stuck gone into the pits there. But Suhaimi and Halabi, the gap has grown quite a bit there due to the traffic situation. Meanwhile, we're here with Sharul Jafar in 13th position. He's trying to catch Boy there, pushing as hard as he can through onto the outside. Nicely through back onto the banking there. And now we go on board with Azril Nazli, who's now right on the tail of Lee Grandy. You can see two very different driving styles there. Azril looking to try and intimidate him by getting into the inside line. Now flat out through that corner. Down through the dip there. And now back up onto the banking. Nazi there, 9th position. He'll want to try and improve. Meanwhile, the top three are simply in a league of their own there. Zadu then looks like he had to go in for a pit. Perhaps he was running some sort of pit strategy or perhaps he just wanted to fix a little bit of damage, but that was a big smack on the wall for Lee Grandy, so Nazli goes past. That lost a lot of momentum there for Lee, but he tries to tuck in back to the rear end of that F-tuned racing machine. Azrael now goes back up onto the banking, big sideways moment. You don't really want to get too sideways coming into that section. Now he comes into the first turn. Now watching Ilham Halabi, who's still desperately trying to fight through the traffic. He's caught up a lot with Suhaimi there. Now that is the gap as it was. In fact, it's even less than the last time they got into traffic, but there's some traffic ahead. Paducah. So Halabi will be trying to push as hard as he can and hope that Suhaimi gets held up by lapped traffic ahead. Meanwhile, Zanud is quite far ahead in 3rd position. So this really is the last of the major placing, the best of the rest right now. So now Suhaimi is following behind Paducah quite closely. He'll want to try and find a way past, and preferably Suhaimi will want to try and find a way past Paducah in this tight and twisty section to give Halabi yet another lapped car to deal with. Absolutely pushing as hard as they can. Wicket low. Meanwhile, in 12th position, he's been desperately trying to get back onto terms. He will want to lead this lap, but unfortunately Yusuf is too far ahead, 33 seconds ahead. Malvinderjit Singh perhaps more likely a target, but there's not a lot of time left in this race. Big curb moment there, and he's hit the barrier. He's hit the barrier and gone into a spin, and he's lost it in the in the infield there. He's managed to keep the car running, but that was a big hit. He'll probably want to go back into the pits for that one and see if he can get back out before the end of the race. Meanwhile, Mohaimin there in 16th position. He's chasing Elizam, who's up ahead there, 15th in the red Mazda. Mohaimin in the student driver number 20 car. Again, another rather cheeky livery from the guys down there in the Adrenaline Impact Invitational. I hope you guys have been enjoying the race so far. It has been absolutely action-packed from the top to the bottom. But I must say, Syaiful Ariffin definitely has pulled away quite a lot. The gap has gone from 8 seconds from the middle of the race now. We're coming up to 3 minutes left in the race. Syaiful Ariffin leading by a long way from Kelvinder Singh. Meanwhile, we're on board with Mohaimin. I don't think he'll be able to get past Elizam in time. He's just a little bit too far away. He keeps dropping back at that final chicane, so I think they're sort of locked in a stalemate there. Going up through the hill there, and meanwhile we go up with Ilham Halabi. He's getting closer and closer to Saimi. They've been battling for all throughout the second half of the race there, so he really wants to try and use Paducah in front of him as a bit of a crux, but I think Paducah, the only thing that's happening is that he can't quite get close to him, and Halabi through the oval section is benefiting from the draft, from the tow from the both of the cars to try and catch up. Meanwhile, yep, he's getting closer and closer. Will this be the opportunity? He thinks better of it. He wants one more lap. There won't be too many laps left. This is lap 19. We might get a lap 20. We're not sure if we can get a lap 21. Syaiful Ariffin now is just in a league of his own, way out front, 18.9 seconds ahead. There he is. He's right behind Nazli there. He'll have basically one more lap to complete through this, if my calculations are correct, 1 or 2 more laps left. So this is very close to the end game. He's driven absolutely beautifully. He's managed to pull a 20-second lead. Now, to give you some context, that would probably be just enough to get ahead and into the lead there. Meanwhile, in 13th position has Hanizul Elizam and Malvinderjit Singh. Elizam has gone past there, but meanwhile behind them, Kelvinder Singh is coming up to lap Malvinderjit Singh for 2nd position. So that just goes to show how fast the guys in front are. They've just completely run away with it. Kelvinderjit not quite having an answer for Syaiful Ariffin this evening. Wicket low there in 15th position. A little bit unfortunate. He was involved in a couple of incidents that were of no fault of his own. Just the nature of racing on the Charlotte Roval tends to throw that up. Meanwhile, Sharil and Norafuddin on the grass there. That's very tricky, breaking into that section there. But he is currently the last car running on the track there. But meanwhile, we're on the final lap, I think. We're on lap 21, and Syaiful Ariffin is now going through the infield for the last time. He's going to go through the crest, the dip, the next crest. Fantastic section of racetrack there. Just misses the barrier and gets on into a NASCAR 1 and NASCAR 2. He'll just be thinking of trying to keep the car nice and neat in a straight line there. He'll be trying to push as little as possible. He'll probably back off a little bit through here. Azril Nesli there. Muhammad Tamizi Yusuf is in 10th position, but it's the final lap. Syaiful Ariffin, I believe, is coming up towards the final 2 corners. You'll see there on the flagpole, big jump on the curbs, left and to the right. And I believe that is our race winner. Syaiful Ariffin has won the race from Kelvinder, Singh, with Zainuddin up in 3rd position. That is our top 3 there. So that was Ariffin from Kelvinder, Singh, and Ajib, aka Zainuddin, there in 3rd position. Absolutely fantastic run for Muhammad Zafri Zainuddin, car number 555. In those Metro Driving Academy liveries, he's going through the bus stop there, very, very quick through that section. And now it's wide open running. You can see the gaps between the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. The turn of pace from Syaiful Ariffin and the misfortune that's been had by some of the other drivers through the first couple of laps have meant that Syaiful Ariffin have managed to run away with it. But meanwhile, Zafri Zainuddin takes a well-earned 3rd position. Ilham Halabi has managed to get past Hazim and Jali, so Halabi takes 4th place, followed by Zainul Hazim in 5th position in the Castrol liveried Mazda. Meanwhile, Jazrin Jali there goes past across the line in 6th position with, I believe, the rest of the cars who are also just gone through. There we go. That's our confirmation of the race results so far. Syaiful Ariffin is the winner, 23 seconds ahead of Kelvinder Singh, with Muhammad Zafri Zainuddin almost a minute behind that. Ilham Halabi is in 4th position, followed by Zainul Hazim, Jazrin Jali, Muhammad Suhaimi, Lee Granti, Azril Nezri, Muhammad Yusuf, Sharul Jafar, Paduka Shuib, Hanuzul Elizam, Wicket Low, Muhammad Mohaimin, Malvinderjit Singh, Shami Azri, and Yudi Lubis. Those are our finishers as far as I could see. There were, near the end there, I believe 4 or 5 retirements, which is a shame. We hope those guys can join us for our next invitational race. But in the meantime, as you can see, the cars there are now lining up for a little bit of a group photo. But in the meantime, just a reminder to like and share, and do follow us for our next invitational race, which we'll be announcing on the page fairly soon. We also still have a little bit of rallying to go through the week. All that remains is for me to hope that everyone is staying at home and staying safe. It's very, very close before a lot of you guys get to go out, but do make sure you stay safe and look after yourselves during these times. But a special thank you to our director, Khairul Alang. I've been Matthew Palmer. Very special thanks to SRE and Interformula for their willingness to sponsor this race. And a very, very big congratulations to the winner, Syaiful Ariffin. My name is Matthew Palmer, and we will see you at the next event. Ta-ra!